In the quiet moments just before sleep, our minds often race with thoughts, worries, and feelings. It's as if 1,000 little voices are trying to speak at once. But what if there was a way to calm that noise? In Buddhism, there is a beautiful concept called detachment. This idea offers a gentle path toward peace, especially when we are trying to wind down for the night. Detachment doesn't mean that we stop caring about the people or things in our lives. Instead, it teaches us to let go of our tight grip on them. Imagine holding a balloon tightly in your hand. If you hold on too hard, it might pop or slip away. But if you hold it gently, you can enjoy its beauty without fear. Detachment is like that gentle hold. It allows us to appreciate life without the pain of fear, anxiety, or sorrow. In Buddhism, this idea stems from the understanding that everything is temporary. Our feelings, thoughts, and even our relationships can change from moment to moment. When we cling too tightly to these aspects of life, we set ourselves up for disappointment and suffering. By practicing detachment, we learn to accept things as they are and appreciate the present moment. This acceptance can lead to greater happiness and a peaceful mind. Now, let's think about how detachment relates to our sleep. When we lay down at night, it's a chance for our bodies and minds to rest. But sometimes, it can be hard to switch off our thoughts. We might replay events from the day or worry about tomorrow. This is where detachment becomes essential. By letting go of the need to control every aspect of our lives, we can find tranquility. Imagine lying in bed after a long day. Your mind races with thoughts about schoolwork, friends, or things left undone. Now picture those thoughts as leaves floating down a stream. Instead of trying to catch each leaf and hold onto it tightly, you allow them to drift by. You can watch them float away without needing to grasp them. This simple visualization can ease your mind and help you embrace detachment. It's important to remember that practicing detachment takes time and patience. Just like learning anything new, it won't happen overnight. But with each attempt to let go of worries and fears, you'll find more peace within yourself. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger you become. Let's explore some teachings from Buddhist stories that illustrate this concept of detachment further. One story features a wise monk who teaches his students about the nature of attachment through an everyday experience. He takes them on a walk through a beautiful garden filled with blooming flowers. As they admire the colors and fragrances, he asks them to pick their favorite flower and hold it close. At first, the students are joyful as they select vibrant blossoms. However, as time passes, they realize that their flowers begin to wilt and lose their beauty. The monk explains that just like the flowers, everything in life is beautiful yet temporary. When we cling too tightly to what we love, we may feel sadness when it changes or fades away. The monk encourages his students to enjoy the beauty of the flowers but also reminds them that they can appreciate the garden without needing to possess every bloom. In this way, they learn that love does not require ownership. Instead, it flourishes in freedom. Another powerful story tells of a great king who lost everything he held dear, his wealth, his palace, and even his loved ones due to war and betrayal. Stripped of all he once had, he wandered into the forest feeling lost and abandoned. Yet in his solitude, he stumbled upon a wise old sage who lived simply among the trees. The sage taught him about finding joy in simplicity and peace within oneself rather than in external possessions or people. The king learned that true happiness comes from within and does not depend on what one has or loses in life. As evening approaches and you prepare for sleep, remember these stories and their lessons about detachment. Think about how they relate to your own life. Is there something you're holding on to too tightly? Perhaps it's a worry about school or a friendship that feels strained. Try practicing gentle detachment by acknowledging these feelings without judgment. Remind yourself that it's okay to feel what you feel, but also recognize that you don't have to carry these burdens into your dreams tonight. By learning from these stories and embracing the art of detachment, you can create space for peace in your heart and mind as you settle down for a gentle night's rest. Let go of what weighs you down, allow yourself to drift into sleep with lightness, just like those leaves on the stream, ready for whatever dreams await you on the other side of night. One day, two monks set out on a journey along a winding path through a lush forest. The sun shone brightly above, and the sounds of birds filled the air, making it a peaceful day for a walk. As they strolled, they discussed many topics: wisdom, compassion, and the simple beauty of their surroundings. Both monks were dedicated to their practices, striving to deepen their understanding of the world around them. As they walked, they soon reached a river that needed crossing. It was wide and had fast-moving water that sparkled in the sunlight. On the opposite side, a woman stood by the bank, looking distressed. Her clothes were simple and worn, and she appeared to be struggling with something heavy in her heart. She called out to the monks, her voice trembling with concern. "Please, noble monks," she pleaded, "I need help. I am trying to cross the river to get to my sick mother, but I am afraid of the rushing water. Will you please assist me?" Hearing her words, one monk quickly stepped forward. He was known for his compassion and eagerness to help others. "Of course," he said with a warm smile. "I will carry you across." The other monk, however, paused. He observed the situation carefully and felt a slight discomfort rise within him. "But we are not supposed to touch women, as it may lead us astray from our paths," he remarked quietly. The first monk looked at his friend with a bit of surprise but did not let his hesitation stop him. He carefully picked up the woman and carried her on his back across the river. He focused only on helping her reach her destination safely while maintaining balance on the slippery stones beneath his feet. Once they reached the other side, he gently set her down and watched as she gratefully rushed off toward her mother. After the woman disappeared from sight, the two monks resumed their journey down the path. However, tension lingered in the air. The second monk could no longer hold back his emotions. "How could you touch her?" he asked sharply, shaking his head in disbelief. "We must follow our rules strictly to maintain our purity and focus." The first monk smiled gently, sensing the uneasiness in his friend's words. He replied calmly, "My friend, I carried that woman across the river for a purpose, and now she is safe with her mother. But you are still holding on to your judgment about what I did." The second monk frowned and crossed his arms defensively. "But we must not allow ourselves to be distracted by attachments to others. What if I lose my way because of this?" The first monk stopped walking and turned to face his companion fully. "You are correct that we must try not to be distracted, but we must also extend compassion wherever we can," he explained softly. To detach is not to stop caring or helping, it is to let go of strict judgments that prevent us from seeing others' needs. With patience, he continued, "When I carried that woman, I was simply focused on her well-being at that moment. Yet you are still holding on to your thoughts about it long after she has gone." The second monk paused for a moment, allowing the words to sink in. He realized that by clinging tightly to his beliefs about rules and judgment, he was missing a valuable lesson in compassion, the very essence of their teachings. "Perhaps I am holding on to my judgments too tightly," he admitted finally. "I see now that my attachment to strict rules clouded my ability to help someone in need." "Letting go of judgments doesn't mean we abandon our principles," replied the first monk warmly. "It means we embrace understanding instead of fear or rigidity. By being open-hearted, we can truly connect with others." As they continued their journey, the second monk felt lightness within himself, like a weight had lifted off his shoulders. He took a deep breath and focused on the sights around him, the vibrant flowers along the pathway and gentle rustle of leaves in the wind. Evening began to creep into the sky, painting it with hues of orange and pink as they walked further down the path together in comfortable silence now. Once they reached their monastery for the night, both monks sat quietly under a large tree outside their home. Silence enveloped them as they appreciated the scenery around them, the stars twinkling into existence and the cool breeze brushing against their faces. The second monk reflected on what had happened earlier that day and found gratitude swelling within him. With a peaceful heart, he practiced letting go of any lingering judgments from before, understanding how freeing it felt no longer to hold on to them so tightly. He turned to his friend with a newfound appreciation for his wisdom. Thank you for showing me that true compassion often lies beyond rigid beliefs, he said softly. As they settled down for rest that night under their starry sky, both monks understood that detachment allows for kindness without limits, reminding them always that life is most beautiful when shared with open hearts and without fear of letting go. In a serene village surrounded by tall mountains and flowing rivers, there stood a magnificent bamboo grove. Amidst the patchwork of green, one particular bamboo tree captured the attention of all who passed by. This bamboo was strong yet flexible, and its slender stalk swayed gracefully in the breeze. Villagers often would stop to admire it as they whispered tales of its unusual resilience. One day, a powerful storm roared through the village, darkening the sky and unleashing heavy rains. The wind howled fiercely, bending branches and shaking rooftops. As the storm raged on, people huddled indoors, fearing for their homes and safety. Meanwhile, the bamboo tree stood tall amidst the chaos, bending with the wind but never breaking. It danced with each gust, adapting to the storm while remaining firmly rooted in the ground. As the winds howled and rain pounded down, an old oak tree nearby watched with a sense of pride at its own strength. Look at that bamboo, it thought. It is foolish to bend under such pressure. True strength lies in standing firm against any storm. But as the tempest continued, the oak began to creak and groan under the strain. Despite its solid trunk and broad branches, it refused to yield to the forces of nature. Finally, with a loud snap that echoed across the grove, one of its great limbs broke off and crashed into the earth below. The following day, after the storm had passed and calmness returned to the village, villagers emerged cautiously from their homes. They were surprised to see that the bamboo tree stood unharmed, while the oak had suffered greatly from its rigidity. The villagers gathered around, astonished by what they witnessed. A wise elder approached them and spoke with a gentle voice. "Let us gather around this bamboo tree and reflect on what it has taught us today," he said. "While we may admire strength, true resilience comes from knowing when to bend rather than break." Children climbed onto their parents' shoulders to get a better view while others nodded thoughtfully at the elder's words. The elder continued, explaining how life can be unpredictable, filled with storms both great and small, and how adapting to change is essential for finding peace and happiness. The oak believed that toughness was key, he said. It held on to its expectations of what strength meant until it was too late. The bamboo, on the other hand, let go of its rigid ideas about resistance and simply embraced each gust of wind. As people listened intently, they began to understand that rigidity can lead to suffering while flexibility allows for growth and learning during challenging times. One young girl named May stepped forward timidly. "But what if we become too flexible?" she asked earnestly. "Won't we lose ourselves?" The elder smiled at her question. "Ah, my dear child," he replied kindly. "Detachment does not mean losing ourselves, rather, it means recognizing when it is time to adapt without holding on to fears or worries tightly." He pointed to the bamboo's gentle sway as an example of finding balance, able to move without losing its core strength. Inspired by this lesson, several villagers decided to follow May's example by planting their own bamboo shoots around their homes, symbolizing their intention to embrace resilience when facing life's challenges. Seasons changed quickly after that day. The breezes became soft whispers telling stories of hope amongst laughter as children played beneath swaying trees. The villagers learned to appreciate every moment in life without clinging desperately to things they could not control. Over time, they discovered that detachment from rigid expectations allowed them more room for compassion, not just for themselves but toward one another as well. They started helping each other work through difficulties instead of competing against one another for recognition or success. On nights when storms rolled in unexpectedly or worries crept quietly into their minds like shadows, they would gather beneath their beloved bamboo trees and share tales about what they'd learned, the importance of bending gently through life's tempests while remaining connected deeply within themselves. As evening settled over their village yet again on one such occasion, May looked up at a sky filled with stars twinkling brightly above them. She felt grateful for both her community's strength and newfound wisdom, realizing that even when faced with challenges ahead, they could withstand anything life threw their way as long as they remembered to bend like bamboo rather than attempt to resist like oak. In this way, the lessons from the bamboo tree continued to resonate within everyone's hearts long after storms had passed, the beauty of adaptability reminding them always that resilience could lead toward deeper understanding and compassion throughout their lives. Once, in a land filled with rolling hills and vast horizons, there flowed a beautiful river that glistened under the sun. This river was unlike any other, it moved effortlessly, winding around rocks and under bridges with grace. Villagers who lived nearby often gathered along its banks, enchanted by its gentle murmurs and the way it embraced every twist and turn in its path. One fine day, an old man named Wei sat on a large rock beside the river to meditate. He had come to find peace, seeking answers to the restlessness that often filled his heart. As he focused on his breathing, he heard the soothing sound of water splashing against stones, an inviting melody that seemed to whisper secrets long forgotten. In his quiet contemplation, Wei noticed how the river flowed without force or struggle, smoothly gliding past obstacles in its way. He observed how it gracefully sliced through boulders and meandered around tree roots without ever becoming stuck or angry for being diverted from its course. The water simply accepted each change along its journey. This sight sparked inspiration within him. Why can't I let go like the river, he pondered. Why do I cling so tightly to my worries? As Wei mused over these thoughts, a curious young boy approached him. His name was Li, and he had been watching from a distance as he danced along the riverbank. His bright eyes were filled with wonder at the old man's stillness among the movement of nature surrounding them. Why are you sitting there so quietly? Asked Li innocently, tilting his head in curiosity. Wei opened his eyes and smiled at the boy. I am watching the river, he replied gently. It teaches us many things about acceptance and letting go. Li picked up a small pebble from the ground and tossed it into the water. The ripple spread outward, expanding until it faded away completely. See? It doesn't fight against anything. It just flows, he said enthusiastically. Exactly. Wei agreed, feeling encouraged by Li's insight. The river flows effortlessly because it knows how to embrace change without resistance. The boy tilted his head thoughtfully as he sat down next to Wei on the rock. But what happens if something blocks its path? Shouldn't it be upset? Wei chuckled softly at Li's innocence and shook his head gently. It doesn't need to be upset because it understands that obstacles are part of life. When faced with a rock or a fallen branch, instead of stopping or fighting back, the river creates new paths. It learns how to move around them. As they both sat in silence watching the flowing water together, Wei began to reflect on times when he allowed worries about life's challenges to cloud his heart, a job lost or friendships that faded away, and how those feelings created needless stress within him. Do you know what happens when we try too hard to control everything? He asked Li after a moment. The boy frowned slightly while pondering this question before shaking his head. When we resist, Wei explained slowly, we create turmoil within ourselves like stormy waters rather than peaceful streams. Li nodded slowly now, starting to see an important lesson taking shape before him. So if we can learn from this river, Wei continued, we should aim for acceptance, allowing life's changes gracefully while understanding that what flows is often beyond our control. Feeling inspired by this newfound wisdom flowing gently between them like the very water beside them, Li reached down once again to scoop up another pebble from near their feet. Instead of tossing it into the river again though, he hesitated briefly, as if considering something more meaningful for their lesson today. Can I make a wish? He asked quietly. Wei smiled encouragingly at him, of course. With sincere determination written all over his face now, Li closed his eyes tightly as he silently wished for courage, for himself, to let go of fears just like the water around them did each day with each passing moment. After hearing soft laughter echo across rippling waves moments later, a reminder of joy filling their hearts, they both took deep breaths together, allowing peaceful stillness enveloping them fully before returning back again towards their village soon after, each carrying within countless lessons imparted alongside their journey through nature's endless wonderment toward accepting all things just as they were meant to flow along life's great current. Embracing their departure from serene moments shared by riverside brought smiles across their faces, knowing acceptance leads toward tranquility while letting go brings deeper understanding, and with every step taken homeward bound reminded that even when faced with obstacles ahead they could choose how they navigated through them together like streams forging ever onward, effortlessly finding ways around rocks until they learned simply how best could thrive along whatever course lay ahead. In a small village, there lived a curious child named Mia. Every day, she would explore her surroundings, chasing butterflies and climbing trees. Her laughter echoed through the fields as she played with her friends. Yet, despite her joyful spirit, Mia often struggled with negative thoughts that clouded her mind. One day, while wandering near a tranquil pond, Mia stumbled upon an old, ornate mirror half buried in the grass. Its frame was adorned with intricate carvings of flowers and vines, hinting at its long history. Intrigued, Mia picked it up and wiped away the dirt. As she held the mirror before her, she gasped at her reflection staring back, for the image seemed to hold a world of emotions within it. At first, Mia simply saw a little girl, a happy child filled with energy and dreams. But as she looked deeper, shadows began to emerge. Thoughts of self-doubt and fear crept into her mind. What if they don't like me, she whispered to herself. What if I can't do this? The reflection in the mirror shifted, the girl appeared sadder, and her smile faded. Saddened by this change, Mia stepped back. Why do I feel this way? She wondered aloud. Just then, a wise old woman, known as the village sage, happened to pass by. Hearing Mia's murmur of concern, the sage approached with a gentle smile. What troubles you, dear child? The sage inquired, noticing the mirror in Mia's hands. I found this mirror, Mia replied sorrowfully. At first, I was happy to see my reflection, but when I looked closer, I felt scared and worried. The sage knelt beside her, examining the mirror with wise eyes. Ah, this mirror reflects not just your face but also your heart and mind, she explained patiently. It shows both your joys and your fears. But remember, the feelings you see are not always the true you. Mia furrowed her brow in confusion. What do you mean? Just like the water of this pond can be still or rippled by wind or rain, the sage continued, your thoughts can shift and change. When you look in the mirror and see fear or sadness, know that these are just reflections of thoughts passing through your mind, not who you truly are. Taking a deep breath, the sage gently took the mirror from Mia's hands and held it up toward the pond. The surface of the water shimmered under the sun, creating a soothing scene. Look here, she said. What do you see? Just the ripples and reflections of the trees around, Mia observed. Exactly, replied the sage with joy. The water does not cling to each ripple, it allows them to flow away. You must also learn to let go of negative thoughts that don't define you. Mia listened closely, beginning to understand. So, if I feel sad or afraid, I can just let those feelings pass like ripples on the water. Precisely, said the sage. Instead of holding on to them tightly, acknowledge their presence and allow them to drift away. You can focus on your true self, the happy girl who loves to explore. Taking back her mirror with newfound hope, Mia examined her reflection once more. This time, she tried to smile genuinely at herself. As she did, something magical happened, the sadness and doubt that once shadowed her began to fade away as if they were being washed downstream. With each moment that passed, Mia practiced letting go of her fears as effortlessly as the ripples faded in the pond. She felt lighter and began to giggle again, feeling joy return to her heart. Thank you for teaching me, Mia said gratefully to the sage. I see now how important it is to recognize my true self. The sage nodded warmly. Remember this lesson well. Your worth is not based on others' opinions or fleeting worries, it lies in being authentic and accepting all parts of yourself. As they bid farewell, Mia left feeling renewed, ready to embrace every adventure ahead without fear anchoring her down. From that day forward, whenever Mia faced feelings of doubt or worry about herself, she would find a quiet place to sit with her mirror and reflect, not just on her appearance but on how she truly felt inside. Each time she sensed negativity creeping in, she would remind herself how to let it flow away like ripples across a pond. In time, Mia became known in the village for her infectious laughter and kind heart. She shared her newfound wisdom with friends and even strangers who needed encouragement on tough days, reminding everyone that their reflections weren't meant to define them negatively but rather guide them toward recognition of their true selves. Embracing life's many ups and downs without fear allowed Mia to shine brightly wherever she went, and each night as she lay down in bed ready for sleep, she held on to these lessons as gently as dreams whispered softly in her ear. In this way, she found peace in knowing who she really was, just like a child nestled within love amidst every reflection cast upon life's ever-changing surface. In a quaint village surrounded by rolling hills and fertile fields, there lived a farmer named Chen. He was known throughout the village for his dedication to his crops and his humble way of life. Each day, he tended to his fields with love and care, believing that nurturing the land would yield rich blessings. One year, as spring arrived, Chen's hard work bore fruit, his crops flourished beyond his expectations. The wheat swayed golden under the sun, and vegetables burst forth from the earth with vibrant colors. The villagers admired him and praised his luck, exclaiming that no one else could grow such bountiful harvests. "Ah, but luck is fickle," Chen remarked with a kind smile. "What is good today may change tomorrow." He understood that nature had its way of ebbing and flowing, joy often danced alongside sorrow. As summer turned to fall, storms swept through the countryside unexpectedly. Heavy rains pounded down on the fields, bringing devastation rather than nourishment. When the storm finally passed, Chen stood among his ruined crops, flattened stalks of wheat lay lifeless in the mud, and the once vibrant garden was now unrecognizable. The villagers gathered around Chen's home, expressing their sympathy for his loss. "You had everything," they said with pity in their eyes. "Now what will you do?" Chen took a deep breath, looking out at the barren fields with a calm demeanor. "I will plant again," he replied resolutely. "This is but one season." The villagers were astonished by his optimism in the face of adversity. Some whispered among themselves that he was foolish to expect good fortune after such tragedy. Determined to rebuild despite their doubts, Chen worked tirelessly again in preparation for the next planting season. However, as he cleared his fields of debris from the storm's wrath, he noticed something unusual, a sprout emerging right where destruction had occurred. It was a seed carried by nature's hand, a resilient weed determined to thrive amid chaos. As weeks passed into months filled with new growth and new opportunities arising amid old losses, this sprout whispered secrets of resilience into Chen's heart. He realized something profound: just like those weeds growing back strong against all odds, he too had within him an ability to rise again after misfortune. Time flowed on like a river through spring once more until another chance arrived for farming anew, this time filled with hopeful energy powered by acceptance rather than fear or attachment to past failures. The seasons changed again and brought unexpected surprises. His next crops flourished. Fields were overflowing once more as neighboring villages faced troubling times from droughts while Chen harvested joyfully every day. What once seemed lucky now felt like wisdom earned deeply from life's lessons learned, and he remembered those weeds that reminded him how everything cycles in nature eventually. However, one market day while selling vegetables at a bustling town fair near dusk under fading light skies filled with orange hues, a sudden commotion arose. A merchant called out frantically about thieves stealing bushels of produce from stalls nearby. Panic rumbled through vendors packing up quickly, irritated toward chaos brewing around them, fearing loss at hand yet again. When everyone rushed away leaving their goods behind, Chen alone remained steady amidst stormy emotions swirling around him, urging deeper understanding within as moments slipped further away no one could control entirely anyway. In times when we feel pressure mount high above us, he softly spoke aloud, just loud enough for himself, remembering youthful wisdom learned long before enduring trouble: to let go catalyzes freedom towards peace. After watching fear drive others away, fleeing unpredictably, pushed by misfortunes chasing them relentlessly like swift winds bending anxious branches, realization dawned upon him: true strength lies in letting go of what holds us tight. With heart aflame igniting gentle resolve inside instead, aware fortune ebbed along waves ever-changing currents before moving forward courageously grasping pleasure simply offering stalled gratitude walking onward instead rather than clinging desperately onto everything tightly held close. Those heavy burdens borne without doubt just waiting patiently until fate intertwined allowing fresh roots down deep taking hold somewhere hidden inside could bloom openly soon enough. Finally returning home on nightfall serene now filled comfort knowing how detachment protects inner balance, experiencing each cycle ebbing softly drifting between laughs cries learning always grows hope away from grip upon dreams realized instead blooming free endlessly onward soaking sunlight nurtures promise kept never seeing darkness blind us permanently outside just beyond horizon shining brightly waiting patiently awake ahead. From then on, the villagers embraced fortune differently too absorbing inspiration gathered seeing through Chen's light embrace wisdom gained over years slowly shaping results encouraged, whether glorious or dreadful. With respect they honored deeply forests hills swaying leaves whispering especially those weeds rooted firmly against storms or loss alike reminding everyone always none remain untouched drifting toward cycles spinning sacred regardless shifting paths ahead unlocked by acceptance. Opened hearts leading softly anywhere exploring together united evermore peacefully thriving side by side through life's journey each cherished every step carried confidently forward carried endless possibilities found waiting across vast enchanting landscapes unveiling treasures ripe bloom everlasting. Harmony awaiting. From then on, the villagers embraced fortune differently too absorbing inspiration gathered seeing through Chen's light embrace wisdom gained over years slowly shaping results encouraged, whether glorious or dreadful. With respect they honored deeply forests hills swaying leaves whispering especially those weeds rooted firmly against storms or loss alike reminding everyone always none remain untouched drifting toward cycles spinning sacred regardless shifting paths ahead unlocked by acceptance. Opened hearts leading softly anywhere exploring together united evermore peacefully thriving side by side through life's journey each cherished every step carried confidently forward carried endless possibilities found waiting across vast enchanting landscapes unveiling treasures ripe bloom everlasting. Harmony awaiting. In a bustling town filled with the sounds of chatter and laughter, there lived a wise teacher named Masterly. He was known for his profound insights and gentle approach to guiding others. People from all walks of life would come to him seeking wisdom, eager to learn the secrets to happiness and peace. One sunny afternoon, a young scholar named Jean arrived at Master Li's door, filled with ambition and a head full of theories. He had studied many philosophies and believed he was destined to be a great thinker. Eager to impress the master, he hurriedly began sharing his ideas and opinions about life, speaking passionately about what he believed to be the truth. Masterly listened patiently, nodding occasionally. After an hour of Jin's enthusiastic monologue, the master raised his hand gently and invited him to sit down. Before we continue our conversation, would you like some tea? Masterly asked with a warm smile. Oh yes, please, replied Jin eagerly, thinking this would be another opportunity to showcase his knowledge. The master rose and went to the kitchen, returning with a beautiful teapot and 2 delicate cups. He poured tea into Jin's cup until it was full. But rather than stopping there, he continued pouring even as the cup overflowed. Hot tea spilled over the edges and onto the table. Master! Stop, cried Jin in surprise. The cup is full. It cannot hold any more. Master Li simply smiled and continued pouring until the tea ran off the table. Finally, he set down the teapot and looked at Jean. Do you see? Asked Master Li calmly. Jean shook his head in confusion. I don't understand. The cup represents your mind, Master Li explained gently. You come here brimming with ideas and beliefs like this full cup of tea. Just as it cannot hold any more liquid, your mind cannot receive new wisdom when it is already filled with your own thoughts and assumptions. Realization dawned on Jin's face as he began to comprehend the lesson. So, I must empty my cup. Yes, said Master Li, an open mind allows us to grow and learn from others. When we cling too tightly to our preconceived notions, we block ourselves from understanding deeper truths. Jin felt humbled by this insight. It became clear that in his eagerness to share knowledge, he had not been truly listening or considering other perspectives. He had been so focused on proving himself that he neglected the opportunity to absorb the wisdom around him. From that day forward, Gene practiced emptying his cup whenever he encountered new ideas or people. He learned to listen deeply rather than speak at length about his own beliefs. With each interaction, he noticed how much more he could learn when he approached conversations with openness instead of defensiveness. As time passed, Gene began to thrive not only as a scholar but as a compassionate friend and mentor to others seeking knowledge. He shared Master Li's lesson about the empty cup with anyone who would listen, encouraging them also to embrace openness in their pursuit of understanding. One afternoon, during a gathering in the town square, Gene saw some children playing nearby with colorful kites dancing in the breeze. Inspired by their joy, he decided to join in their fun rather than retreat back into his books alone. "Would you like some help?" Gene asked one of the children struggling with their kite string. "Yes," squealed a little girl named May, her eyes shining with excitement. Together they worked under the sun, laughing as they figured out how best to get her kite soaring high above them. While they played together amidst laughter echoing across fields surrounding them, joy bubbling up from deep within, it struck Gene then that life was like that kite. It needed both patience and openness through gentle breezes blowing softly upon it, guiding it higher than ever imagined before. Later on, while sitting under an old cherry blossom tree sharing stories about adventures past made friends all around at playtime, Gene reflected how much richer life became when approached with an open heart, willing simply connect rather than compete or compare. Endless thoughts collected over years burdened down by rigid expectations placed upon themselves. And so, every evening before settling down for sleep at night, whether recalling joyful afternoons spent engaging meaningfully together, embracing nature all while letting go fears held tightly bound, or knowing tomorrow brings fresh steers guided lovingly onward awaiting brightening horizons ahead, the teachings learned along journey freely inspired hope, illuminating paths away from darkness towards infinite possibilities, beckoning open minds ready for embrace. Jin's heart grew lighter each day, filled continuously reminding himself daily, to fill my cup anew requires letting go what lingers painful behind, since embracing emptiness opens doors wider awaiting treasures discovered shared among souls intertwined. Thus throughout those passing seasons, he cultivated not just knowledge shared but meaningful connections woven through simple moments experienced together, nurturing bonds strengthened through openly shared joys, lessons learned showing lightened hearts could always rise higher, united continually flowing freely beyond limits earthly defined, discovering harmony promised waiting even today still echoes softly toward tomorrow. As the villagers began to integrate the teachings of Master Li into their daily lives, many found themselves eager to share their experiences, eager to cultivate a deeper sense of peace and detachment. One evening, as the stars twinkled brightly overhead, they gathered again under the ancient tree to discuss practical methods that could help them embrace this art of letting go. Master Li took his place at the front and smiled at the familiar faces surrounding him. "Today, I want to guide you through some gentle exercises that can help you practice detachment daily," he said softly. "These methods will allow you to become more aware of your thoughts and feelings while helping you release what no longer serves you." He began with mindfulness meditation. "Find a comfortable spot where you can sit quietly without distractions," he instructed. "Close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose, then slowly exhale through your mouth. Focus on your breath. Feel it filling your lungs and nourishing every part of you. When thoughts arise, acknowledge them gently, then let them float away like clouds in the sky." A villager named Aiko raised her hand, intrigued by this idea. "What if my mind keeps wandering?" she asked. "That is perfectly natural," Master Li assured her. "When your mind wanders, simply observe those thoughts without judgment. Picture them as leaves drifting down a stream. Allow them to pass without clinging to them. This practice cultivates an open heart and mind and teaches you to detach from unhelpful thoughts." The villagers nodded appreciatively, understanding how mindfulness could lead to greater awareness not only of their feelings but also of their surroundings. Next, Master Li continued, "Let's talk about deep breathing techniques." He demonstrated by inhaling deeply for 4 counts and then exhaling slowly for 6 counts. This simple exercise can be practiced anywhere, whether before a meal, during a stressful moment, or as part of your morning routine. It helps anchor you in the present. Can we try it together? Someone suggested eagerly. With Masterly leading them, everyone closed their eyes once more. They inhaled deeply together, feeling their chests rise and fill with air. Then, as they exhaled slowly, they felt tension slipping away like sand through their fingers. The room filled with a palpable sense of calm as they connected with their breath. The next method is journaling, Masterly said warmly. I encourage you to keep a journal where you can express your thoughts and feelings freely without fear of judgment. Write down anything that may be bothering you. This allows for emotional release and helps you gain clarity on what truly matters. Another villager named Hiro chimed in, I've always wanted to write but didn't think I had anything important to say. Masterly smiled kindly at him. Every thought is valuable. Remember that writing is not about perfection, it's about honesty. Let your heart speak freely and witness the power of your own words. After Hiro absorbed this advice, Masterly introduced the concept of gratitude. At the end of each day, write down 3 things for which you are grateful, he explained. This shifts your focus away from negativity and encourages appreciation for what you have. I'll include my cat's purring. Aiko exclaimed with a laugh, prompting giggles from others. Masterly chuckled along with them before continuing, and lastly, I suggest you practice detachment through nature. Spend time outdoors when possible, sit beneath a tree or stroll through a garden, and observe how nature flows effortlessly without clinging too tightly to any one moment. Inspired by this idea, Tenzin spoke up, I often get caught up in my worries at home. Nature sounds like a wonderful remedy. Indeed, Masterly replied with warmth. Connecting with nature reminds us of the larger cycles of life, how everything has its ebb and flow. As the evening progressed, the villagers shared their excitement for trying these techniques in their everyday lives. They understood that cultivating detachment was not merely an act of letting go but rather an invitation to embrace life fully. In the following weeks, many villagers returned to report their experiences. Aiko shared how mindfulness meditation helped her manage anxiety during busy market days. Tenzin spoke of finding joy during his walks amidst blooming flowers that reminded him of life's beauty. With laughter echoing around them, each villager began developing practices that resonated with them personally, finding comfort in their journeys toward inner peace while learning from one another along the way. As they gathered under the stars night after night, sharing stories filled with warmth that echoed softly against one another enriched by lessons learned, they realized how deeply connected they were as a community growing together exploring limitless possibilities awaiting ahead. And so, the art of detachment flourished within their hearts like blossoms reaching up toward sunlit skies weaving collective strength united through sacred moments spent nurturing souls intertwined nourishing each other along paths unfolding outward boundless carrying timeless treasures waiting gently unfolding before all who dared embrace change. As the evening settled softly over the village, a gentle stillness wrapped around the gathered villagers. They had spent the day absorbing the teachings of Masterly and practicing various methods to embrace detachment. Now, as night descended and stars twinkled above, it was time for reflection, a moment to consider how these lessons could shape their lives and lead to more peaceful nights. Masterly, sitting beneath the ancient tree, invited everyone to close their eyes for a few moments. Take a deep breath in, he instructed, inhaling deeply himself, and let it out slowly. The villagers followed suit, feeling their bodies relax with each exhale. Tonight, let us reflect on the stories we've shared and the wisdom we've gained. He began with the tale of the 2 monks who encountered the distressed woman by the river. Think about how one monk chose to act with compassion while the other held tightly to his judgments. What can you learn from their experience about letting go of rigid beliefs? How can you apply this lesson when faced with your own challenges? As they pondered, soft whispers of breeze danced through the trees, creating a serene atmosphere. Villagers recalled moments when they, too, had clung to judgments or fears that prevented them from acting kindly toward others. They realized that by releasing such attachments, they could foster compassion, not only for others but also for themselves. Next, Masterly spoke of the resilient bamboo tree and its ability to bend in storms while the rigid oak broke under pressure. Reflect on your own life, Are there areas where you resist change? Can you find strength in being flexible? As you lay down tonight, consider how embracing life's twists and turns can lead to deeper resilience. The villagers nodded thoughtfully, recalling times when they felt overwhelmed by unexpected changes. They recognized that by adopting a mindset of acceptance, they could navigate life with greater ease, just like the bamboo bending gracefully with the wind rather than resisting it. Then Master Li drew attention to Wei's reflections by the river and the flowing water's effortless movement. The river teaches us to let go of worries and flow with life, he said gently. What burdens are you carrying that no longer serve you? Imagine them drifting away like leaves on a stream. Allow yourself to release these weights tonight so you may find peace in your dreams. At this invitation, many villagers visualized their worries as leaves floating away downstream. With each breath, they felt lighter and more at ease, ready to embrace restful sleep without anxieties clouding their minds. Master Li then turned to Mia's journey of self-discovery through her ornate mirror. Mia learned not to define herself by her fears or doubts, he reminded them. What negative thoughts do you hold on to? As you reflect on your day, recognize those thoughts but remember they do not define your worth. Tonight, let go of what limits you and instead embrace your true self, full of potential and light. The villagers felt a sense of liberation wash over them as they acknowledged and released their self-doubts. They understood that true self-acceptance came from recognizing their inherent value rather than allowing negativity to dictate their thoughts. Finally, Master Li recounted Chen's story of resilience through changing fortunes. Consider how Chen found peace amidst loss, he said softly. Life is filled with ups and downs, can you accept that change is a natural part of existence? Each challenge brings an opportunity for growth. With this thought lingering in their minds, the villagers reflected on their own experiences with loss and triumph. They recognized that acceptance paved the way for healing and personal growth, allowing them to move forward with hope rather than fear. As Master Li concluded their evening reflection, he encouraged them to carry these insights into their lives. Let go of what does not serve you, he advised gently. Embrace detachment as a way to cultivate peace within yourself. Each night as you prepare for sleep, take a moment to reflect on what you've learned today and allow it to guide you toward restful slumber. The villagers nodded in agreement, feeling a sense of unity as they realized they were all on this journey together, learning from each other's stories and experiences, supporting one another in cultivating a deeper understanding of detachment. As they made their way home under the starlit sky, they felt lighter and more connected than ever before. With each step they took, they embraced the lessons learned throughout the day and looked forward to welcoming peaceful nights filled with clarity and purpose. They knew that by practicing detachment, through mindfulness, gratitude, and acceptance, they could transform their lives into something beautiful and harmonious. And as they settled into bed that night, they let go of worries, opening themselves to dreams filled with possibility and joy, ready to embrace whatever awaited them in the morning light. As the village settled into the comforting embrace of night, the stars twinkling brightly like a tapestry woven across the sky, Master Li's wisdom echoed softly in the hearts of those who had gathered. The lessons learned about detachment and acceptance were not just stories or concepts, they were seeds planted deep within their spirits, beginning to take root and grow into something beautiful. The glow from the moon illuminated paths back to each home as villagers made their way through softly lit streets, each heart carrying a sense of hope that perhaps they could cultivate inner peace amid life's unpredictability. The stories they had shared together served as guiding lights, and with every step, they reflected on the importance of letting go, of worries, fears, and burdens that weighed heavily upon them. Master Li's gentle voice played in their minds as they lay down for the night. Detachment is not about rejecting life, it is about engaging fully without being bound by expectations. As they prepared to drift off to sleep, these thoughts filled them with a sense of clarity. They could embrace life's flow like the river, allowing themselves to navigate around obstacles without resistance. Aiko thought about how mindfulness meditation helped her find calm amidst chaos. She closed her eyes and pictured her worries as clouds passing overhead, drifting farther away until they vanished into the vast sky. Tonight was about peace, she welcomed it with open arms. Meanwhile, Chen smiled to himself as he lay in bed, recalling how introducing gratitude into his routine shifted his focus away from hardships. He recalled all he cherished, his family's laughter, the morning sun glistening on freshly watered crops, and the blossoming friendships forged within his community. Each blessing glowed brightly in his mind like stars, a reassuring reminder that beauty existed all around him. Outside her window, Mia watched fireflies dance in the night air, their soft glow reminiscent of dreams waiting to unfold. With a newfound understanding of her worth not tied to fears or doubts but gently rooted in self-acceptance and love, the little girl felt grateful for each flicker of light that reminded her of hope shimmering brightly within her spirit. Tenzin closed off thoughts of worry from daily responsibilities by considering Master Li's advice on connecting with nature. Perhaps tomorrow would bring an early morning walk through blooming fields, each petal a testament to resilience and beauty found in embracing life's changes. He found himself looking forward to these moments spent outdoors where stillness lingered peacefully inviting inspiration. As deep breaths filled their lungs one by one, exhaling away remnants of tension lingering just beneath skin, villagers began welcoming relaxation into every fiber woven across bodies cradled within blankets cocooning them gently against outside influences aimlessly drifting. And so began the fostering of dreams nurtured by teachings deeply ingrained from heartbeats returning synchronously peacefully calm rhythms echoing wisdom amassed, that true joy illuminated crafted bright futures born under infinite potential glowing undimmed shimmering forth nightly toward dawn beyond. In this sacred space nestled beneath stars twinkling brightly above, they began weaving personal stories building bridges intertwining lives enriched evermore together thrumming delicately within context upheld tenderly through patience embracing time unraveling inward nurturing every heartbeat eternally drawing nearer toward radiant warmth pulling enchanting possibilities always waiting gently awaiting discovery. Letting go became part of their collective journey toward inner tranquility while acceptance unfurled vibrant fabrics together united spun. And echoed wise harmonies formed magnificent colors stretching outwardly illuminated forever seeking brilliance aspiring wide across endless canvases originating eternal hope threaded tightly deep held firmly warded against darkness balanced gracefully embarking endlessly forward budding sprouts presenting alive with purpose fulfilled breathing fullness. Brimming over nurturing bright smiles dancing joyously cradled upon celestial dreams where everyone left embraced wholeheartedly ever ready passionately gathering unfolding encompassing complete acceptance blooming beautifully awake toward tomorrow soaked sweet sunlight smiling welcoming new days unrest. Aimed unfiltered promising bountiful possibilities abound. Letting go became part of their collective journey toward inner tranquility while acceptance unfurled vibrant fabrics together united spun. And echoed wise harmonies formed magnificent colors stretching outwardly illuminated forever seeking brilliance aspiring wide across endless canvases originating eternal hope threaded tightly deep held firmly warded against darkness balanced gracefully embarking endlessly forward budding sprouts presenting alive with purpose fulfilled breathing fullness. Brimming over nurturing bright smiles dancing joyously cradled upon celestial dreams where everyone left embraced wholeheartedly ever ready passionately gathering unfolding encompassing complete acceptance blooming beautifully awake toward tomorrow soaked sweet sunlight smiling welcoming new days unrest. Aimed unfiltered promising bountiful possibilities abound. So rest now luxuriously dear villagers. Let your minds align/move smoothly past weariness cradle hope lapping beautifully toward restful sleep allowing serene peace enfold nourish you kindly enriching those beloved nightly fond moments guiding homes hearts tethered vibrantly and trusting tomorrow ever awaiting bright journeys beckoning ahead, a gentle farewell wrapping warm arms you softly as the art unfolds lovingly as life shimmers ahead and waits unwavering approaching your dreams.